We're live. It worked.
It worked. It worked.
Wonderful.
Yes.
You
All
know,
right.
some days we're not sure if it's actually on, and others we're like, oh, we're just talking and it's actually on. So we are all on here together. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hello.
Oh,
Hello there.
first of all, Pam, I love the maroon. Like, I'm loving
Thank you.
Aggie love right now. So for all of our Austin friends, my husband tells everybody we're a light in a dark place being an Aggie here. So, right?
Indeed.
Renee got to go to an Aggie game too, so we tried to brainwash her a little bit. But
Now I'm trying to brainwash my 13-year-old that I think he needs to be an Aggie.
yeah,
I couldn't agree more, Renee. I couldn't agree more.
it starts young. It starts
Yeah.
young now.
Yeah.
So I am super excited. Pam Owens is visiting with us today, and she is a friend of mine that I met through a nonprofit that she and I both are a part of. We didn't know each other. We got to know each other. We had the Aggie connection and just visited. And it's one of those things for me anyway. I don't want to speak for you, but when you meet somebody and you just connect and you just feel like, oh my gosh, I've known this person, or this person has been a part of my life somehow. That's Pam to me. She's just phenomenal. So she is edge of your seat consulting, and I'm so excited that you're going to be here and share with us today and get to know Renee a little bit. And how are things going? How's self quarantine and homeschooling?
I tell you, self-quarantine is a series of leadership lessons in and of itself, right? You think you know yourself until you have to lead in a different way. And so to me, it's just a wonderful parallel and a learning opportunity around how do I really show up in my real life, in my real job when I'm leading. So
Yeah.
I've had a lot of, people are like, what is the worst part of it? I'm like, I don't want to focus on the worst part. I want to focus on the gifts that have come out of, oh gosh, I didn't think I, could do that, or multitasking in a different way, or should I really be multitasking right now? So it's been a really good platform for informing me about my own leadership. And so I've really actually learned a lot, and I've learned a lot about, I've even explored every night in this house, we do a question at the table. So a couple of weeks ago, the question was, are leaders born or made? And I found the answers to be compelling. Now, the reason why I asked that question is I ask that of leaders all the time, because depending on how you answer that question informs how you'll lead, right? So if you think leaders are born and it's this innate thing that you're born with and it's just natural for you, you're going to lead differently than if you think that leaders are made, right? If you think leaders are made, then you're probably in the school of thought around the fact that people can be motivated directly, right? But leadership theory says that people can't directly be motivated. And the example I like to give is, in the last year, I've lost 100 pounds, last year and a half.
Congrats.
And I have about 50 pounds to go. And the reason why I have that 50 pounds is because I have a deep love affair with wine and cheese. And
that's why we are friends.
And that's why we're friends. And so
we all agree there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I don't want to go out on like a rice cake and some kale. Like, I have to balance that happiness. So, I have a personal trainer. I have a team. I go to the gym. And if my personal trainer could directly motivate me, right, directly, then the 50 pounds that I have left to lose would be gone, right? But from a leadership theory perspective, as leaders, we can simply only create an environment for which motivation occurs, right? Right? So as we're leading team, because if he could directly motivate me, it'd be gone. Now, has he done a wonderful job of creating an environment? Yes, but it's intrinsic. Motivation is intrinsic. I will be the one that says, I am not going to have that mojito. I'm going to get in there and change up my workout, right? My muscle memory has to change. I intrinsically have decided that. And while he can co-create motivation with me, it's really something that's deep inside, right? So I'm sorry, did I lose y'all?
No, you're there.
We got you.
Okay, so when you think about that, are leaders born or made, and you're evaluating that for how you might lead a group of people. If you think leaders are born, then you are going to have a different approach than you might have if you think that leaders are made. And then what is your landscape around motivation, right? And then how do you keep doing that, especially now in uncertain times where it looks so different. So right now I manage 4 different teams and in interim positions. So in my company, I have leveraged leadership by going into organizations that needed help and support. That could be anything from a leader that's embezzled money. That could be a leader that was exited for other ethical reasons, or they're in a bad transition point, or whatever that is. And then I come into that organization and work from the inside out to help them get back on track. Well, a lot of that is having to figure out the anatomy of a team, getting to know people, and then figuring out what inspires them and motivates them to do what they do. So within that path, now, as I'm managing across these teams, we have this health crisis. We're in a pandemic. We're having to do work differently. Even for my teams that have worked virtually, I have had to change the game on how I'm leading them. So now those meetings look very different. And what I ask every morning of all 4 teams is this: tell me what your change threshold is for today, right? And I create safe space for them to tell me the truth. Sometimes they're like, I'm down for about 3 changes today. The other day, one of my team members said, I don't even want to function today. And I was like, you know what? You come back and try it tomorrow. Yeah. Because I already know I'm not going to get the best out of her today, right? But I don't penalize them for being authentic and vulnerable in that space, right? When I can clearly see they're on a call and I can see a child's head poking in this way, I can see them getting tight, like, oh my gosh, right? Computers messing up, they've dropped their notebook on the floor, and I'm like, whoa, nope, hold on. Because in a time of crisis, we often mix up that for which is urgent and that for which is important. Nothing right now really is that urgent. Mm-hmm. Nothing. A lot of important stuff maybe, but like burning down, it's on fire urgent, not much goes in that category. So I think from a leadership perspective in uncertain times, especially as leaders, we got to get a hold of ourselves and make sure that what we haven't repaired in our own selves doesn't bleed on to our teams and the people we're leading, right? Like, this is a perfect opportunity to keep being productive and working, and also repair and triage whatever it is that might be a barrier and an obstacle in us for our ultimate success. And so I start in those 2 buckets every morning with my teams. And if I do a temperature check and they're off, I'm like, you know what? Nothing on this agenda is going to topple our organization today. So let's either come back on at 3 and try it again, or let's try again tomorrow. And I had a leader that I'm coaching say, that is so weak. And I'm not paying people to sit at home. And, I have the money to pay them, but we should just furlough them. And I'm like, really? So how long have they worked for you? One has worked for me 6 years. One has worked for me 8 years, and they're super productive. Okay, so let me get this straight. They have a history of being productive. And because you feel like they're probably at home eating Cheetos and drinking a Coke for 30 of the minutes of the day or 45 minutes of the day, you are going to punish them. In the aggregate, is that really what we're trying to do here? Or are we holding space for people to adjust and pivot and get used to the the new normal? I guarantee you, if you give space for that, the productivity margin will quadruple, period. I'm seeing it on one of my teams right now. I don't even hardly even talk to them now. They're like pure policing themselves. Like, what's your threshold for change today? They're doing it themselves because we've created space for them to do it. I've set the expectation, how you get there, how you do that. I'm open. And I didn't always lead like that. But now, after leading through several, like 2008, when the last time we had a major issue, that's when I had to start changing my leadership style. I had to start really testing my emotional intelligence on like, what exactly am I saying? How am I showing up in this role? And what is inspirational and motivating and what is not? So I think there's opportunities in uncertain times to really, really do that. I mean, I went to, Industry Texas, Brenham, with a small client when the Bluebell 2019 crisis went down, which for us, it was just, oh my gosh, we don't get to eat ice cream. But for them, it was like, oh my gosh, we're, same kind of thing. The economy for them was rough. And I just remember saying, we're just gonna ride it out. It's gonna be okay. They rode through that crisis, and then they had another one. A couple months later, it happened again, and they couldn't get it right. It's gonna be okay. If we can't do this right now, what can we creatively do? Have you reached out to your customers? Have you been good stewards to your customers? Have you just asked your customers how they're doing? And I mean the current ones and potential ones. Mm-hmm. Have you simply asked how they're doing? So I think in these times, it's such an opportunity to get creative about how we do our work.
Wow, Renee and I have been calling this series, if you will. It didn't start out as being a series. It just started out as conversations, but we've started calling it the Leadership from the Heart series, right? Because we're really connecting with leaders that inspire us and that we want to be more like and emulate, right? And you're just completely encompassing that exact sentiment that we had. I mean, I love your style. I love your heart. I love your vulnerability. And you're just like, hey, this is it. I mean, we're all struggling in our own way. We're all adapting in our own way. And you giving that space, I think that's such a great reminder. Give people space. It's allowed. It's okay. So thank you for that. But that's so important to remember.
Well, I think it's also important to remember. So if we're leaders, right, in an organization, remember that we got messaging first of the change, right? Right? So by the time the change is communicated to those that work with us, we're at the green light. We're rolling. We've already adjusted. We're like, oh, it's coming. They're closing us down. Or, hey, we're going to do it differently. Or if you're already a virtual team, our meetings are going to look different, right? Whatever that is. We've had time to sit with it. The people that work with us, the people that might be, essentially under us, even though I don't like that phrase, they get the message, and then we expect them to run the red light and be okay immediately. And they're not, right? And they have questions, and then we get mad when they have questions. It's just not a good way around. Like, it's a shortcut, but there are no shortcuts in leadership, right? You can shortcut it and lose weeks of spinning, rumor mill, lack of productivity, angst, and anxiety. Or you can go what many people say is the long way around, but it isn't to me, which is, I'm going to hold space for you. I'm going to sit here and answer every question I can. If I don't have an answer, I'm going to tell you I don't. But we're going to figure out how to co-create a situation where you're able to function in the job that you're in right now. And so, there's a breaking point where some will never be able to come along, and then that's a different conversation. I've had to have those conversations too. But more often than not, when I hold space for and say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to stand back and can you articulate for me what would be helpful? What would be, what would reflect a need that would be something that would meet you where you are? The first couple of times they don't believe you, they don't trust it. But after a while, they're like, oh, maybe she really is asking. Like, it's not a trick question. I want you to be healthy and whole. What does that look like for you? One of the women on my team said the other day, that 8:00 staff meeting call is killing me because it's right in the middle of my morning walk. And I can't do my morning walk earlier because I'm wrangling 4 kids and I can't do it. But when I get to that call, I'm already discombobulated. And so I just said, does anybody have a problem with us moving the team meeting to 10? Everybody's like, nope, better for me. That was it. She gets to, be healthy and whole when she sits down, and I'm getting the best out of her. And she likes to show up for her job. Imagine that, right? It's like, yeah, that's why I think, Elizabeth, for us, when we first met and you were like, you were talking about how much you love it, and your face lights up, and I'm like, who is this chick? Like, what? Like, that's rare. It's rare. And I think we sometimes have to remember how, from a place of gratitude, how lucky we are. I have literally rolled most of my career, with the exception of being a high school teacher, which was a terrible detour. That's a whole nother class. Loving what I do. What a gift, right? So if we can be a small part of creating that for somebody else, why wouldn't we take the time to do that?
I'm curious. Well, first I should say you are just so poignant, and I feel like this conversation is coming. It couldn't be a more perfect time. Like, I'm wondering, were you literally just in our living room an hour ago? I'm pretty sure you must have been here. So thank you, because you're teaching me in these moments. Going back to leaders are born, or are leaders made? Can you talk a little bit about the different leadership styles between if you answer that a leader is born as compared to if you answer a leader is made?
Absolutely. Usually, in most situations, when people say leaders are born, they give a lot of bandwidth for what could show up as somebody that's not in the right position. Sometimes somebody that doesn't have the bandwidth or the type of DNA for a certain kind of job will give longer bandwidth on performance measures and deliverables and expectations, probably gives longer bandwidth on giving truthful and direct feedback back, because you're like, okay, I see that, I see the skill set. I'm just gonna kind of let it, fester and keep going. And so that usually occurs in those instances. When you think a leader is made, you throw all your energy around building them. And the fallacy with that is that we try to build the people around us to be exactly like us, right? So you're going to be one of those buckets. So if you think leaders are made, you're like, I'm about to mentor. Like, mentorship is scary, and allyship is scary when I hear it, or sponsorship, especially with women, because sometimes I hear that and I go, uh-oh, that means I'm going to mentor you to be exactly like me, versus I'm going to foster and uplift in you the gifts you already have and recognize those. And so in those two buckets, you have to be careful. The answer really is probably both, right? If we really did an assessment, you could look at, if you have children, you could look at them and go, born, built, right? Probably. If you're working with people next to you, you can go, not particularly natural at that, but boy, they study hard. Like, we can all talk about that. Like, my brother is a vice president at a bank, and he was born a leader and was the one that never really had to study for tests, right? It just came naturally. He was student body president. He didn't even really make a sign. He just kind of rolled out, went to UT. I definitely did not roll out born to be a leader. Mine had to be cultivated and plowed and watered, and I studied really hard for my grades, and not a lot of that came natural for me, right? And I think now leadership theorists, if you're in the airport at any time, which we can't be now, there are books about leadership coming out every day. And I told, I did a keynote a couple months ago, and when they introduced me, they were like, leadership expert. And I was like, stop, nope, because I don't believe there's such a thing. And plus, a lot of people self-proclaim themselves as experts, and they're not. But leadership is such a fluid practice. It is a process. So I don't believe you can ever be an expert. Do I think you can be a really good leader? Yes. But the day that I'm in a leadership class and somebody says, I have nailed it, I don't want to be led by you, because you should constantly be trying to grow and cultivate and lead better, right? If you're really solid as a leader, then if you have different personalities on your team, the way you apply leadership should be different to all those personalities. So when you talk about leadership born and made, that's just the tip of the iceberg on constructing your leadership style, right? I have 3 millennials on one team right now. I'm gonna tell you right now, that experience has taught me so much about myself. I have a person that's, older. I have a different style even within that, with personalities. There are cultural norms that come into place. So you have to be open to hearing all of it. And then being willing to, there are times you're going to hear stuff, you're going to be like, I'm going to discard that. I'm not feeling that. But there's a lot, if you lead well, people will be willing to tell you that will inform your own leadership in ways that are transformational.
You're giving me a lot of aha moments right now. I always take that away when I talk to you or read something that you've posted. I mean, even your words, the way you articulate things, it's just like, wow. I mean, it's very moving for me. But what you're saying right now, it's interesting because people tell me, and Renee, we're leaders all the time. We're leaders in our organization. She's actually a team leader. I have a group and we all work together in a way. But what I'm realizing from what you're saying is, wow, I think I've been leading wrong, right? Or not as efficiently or effectively as I could have, because I know who I am. And I'm sitting here questioning, am I trying to make those around me more like me? And it's very eye-opening. And so I want to have a conversation with my group, because we get together each Monday and say, wait, wow, how can we build each other up? How can we help each other? Because me thinking I'm leading and me thinking I'm helping might not be really how it's received at all, right? And so, I mean, just listening to you right now, I'm evaluating everything about me and starting to question a little bit, but with that comes growth. And I don't know, Renee, are you feeling the same way? Because
I absolutely agree with you. And I'm pretty sure we're in a therapy session right now. And I love every second of it, because
right?
Pam, when you've said that, I should be writing it all down. Good thing this is recorded. I'll watch it again. But you said that leaders should always be in continual education and learning mode. And I agree with you 110%. Just the other day, Elizabeth and I were on a phone call together, she and I, and this is a roller coaster we're experiencing. Every human being is experiencing a roller coaster right now. And this moment when I called Elizabeth, I wasn't in my finest moment, and she's a safe place for me to express those thoughts. And I said, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, each and every day, I am to pay attention to the lessons that are before me as a leader, because I am being called to lead in a way I have never done. And I am feeling terribly insecure to do, because I feel like I'm not prepared. And all I can do is say, pay attention and know that there's got to be some growth on the other side, because I've never led like this in these types of circumstances. I don't know how to do it at the best level. And that's terrifying, but I'm also not afraid to admit it, right? Like, I'm doing the best I can do, but what you're saying right now is kind of hitting me on the side like a 2x4. Bring more. We need more, Pam.
First of all, what you just said was beautiful and poetic. Let me just say that. But let me say this too. So I only know from knowing Elizabeth and watching, I see y'all at these team meetings and you're always in those pictures. And so I'm like, clearly that's the dream team. It's the same 4 or 5, like that's the team. Got it. I can deduce from the pictures. I'm a smart gal. And you're saying, gosh, I'm having to lead differently. Well, if you're feeling like that, and I am 100% clear that you are effective and successful and wonderful leaders who probably have very solid relationships with the teams that you lead, I'm sure of it, right? But when something like this happens that shakes the very core of our humanity, it's like starting over, right? To me, it's like, scratch all that. The sun comes up on a new normal.
That's right.
And I am freaking out because I don't exactly know what I'm doing, but I have to try to act like it, but that's exhausting.
Yeah.
So now every Friday, I do a 360 every Friday and say to my teams, what obstacles did I create for you today that I might not have recognized?
Wow.
Oh, and they'll
That's
tell me,
powerful.
what barrier did I put in the way that created a challenge for you to be at your very best, right? Because right now, my job is to weed whack those obstacles for my teams, right? And so because I'm in my own feelings, trying to figure out Common Core math and make sure my children see a vegetable at least a couple times a week, it's like the Matrix. I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. So to me, it's a brave notion for a leader to say, I am feeling uncomfortable about this new normal. Now, the challenge for both you and Elizabeth is you have a long-standing record of being amazing. I almost cussed. I had to stop myself. I almost said badass. Okay, you're gonna have to mute that out. And so the journey for you is longer because you have a demonstrated reputation in that. I see y'all are standing with the awards and you're at the summit. I see it. So then if I'm on your team, I might, as somebody that might be experiencing some discomfort and insecurity, think to myself, well, Renee's level of not having it together is like my level of having it together. I'm at a standstill. And to the leader, it could appear that they're not being productive, when in reality, they're having a crisis of confidence, right? So if you're not intentionally creating opportunities for conversation, for that to be teased out, the approach that you are trying to utilize with that particular person on your team might not match. It might not land, right? So I often, even during the week, say, we're just doing a check-in. How are you doing? And then I'll let them go once because, you know, in science, the third thing people say is really the truth. So then I'll ask again, how are you doing? I let them go again. I go, okay, now how are you really doing? And then all of this stuff tumbles out. My husband's got furloughed. My kids haven't seen a vegetable since March 1st. I've been wearing stretchy pants on the bottom during our calls and now my jeans don't fit. Like there's a host of things going on. People are about to see my true hair color any day now. Like all these things that seem trivial and first world problems should not be minimized because when you're experiencing it, it's real. So if we don't give some room for that to have some agility on our teams, I can't even focus on what you told me to do today, Elizabeth, because I have not had a place to deposit all these 12 things. So for me as a leader, there's such an opportunity to build connectivity on my team in different ways. I make them buddy up, right? And they have to have lunch with each other once a week and they get to pick how they do it. But if you do not have lunch once a week and engage, it's a hit to your performance appraisal. It's not, relationships aren't negotiable. We're not individual contributors anymore in this society. Every organization is team-based. Every organization. We made that shift in the late 90s. Everybody runs on a team. So that soft skill stuff is equally as important as how much you sell, what you bring in, how you do your work. You are outward facing to this organization. And so you got to be whole, right? I don't want the people who are like burning it at both ends and not sleeping. Like that whole thing, especially as female leaders that we do around like always being busy and wearing busy as a badge of honor and always being stacked and I'm doing 55 things. That is not attractive to me. I'm attracted to good self-care and life integration. And I don't want you to have to separate out those buckets and hide those things from me. I want you to be whole in those things. So to the woman the other day whose child was peeking through, I'm like, bring him on. Mm-hmm. And she sat him right here and you could just see her shoulders go.
Sure.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Right? That's the gift we get to give. Because I've been there. Right? So it's like, I'm not going to perpetuate those types of cycles and that stress and that strain. It doesn't have to happen to be successful and for our team to hit our number. Just doesn't.
What are you telling people, in leadership? I feel like I'm always having to put on a smile and a brave face and kind of that facade. And it's not always a facade, right? I mean, I love what I do. I love talking to people and pouring into others, but sometimes it's exhausting. And sometimes it wears on you. What are you telling other leaders? How are you telling leaders to protect that space?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you something. The kindest thing you can do to yourself and your team is demonstrate boundaries. It is the gift that keeps on giving. And you know what? When you have a healthy boundary, they feel that they have permission to have one too. So what I say to leaders is, and you know what? It's like, I coach a lot of leaders, and I'm always concerned when I see a leader that just never shuts it down. And the reason why I recognize this leader is because I was this leader, right? And then I recognize when I started hearing on my team stuff like, I don't have a life, or I'm not having kids, or I'm going to have to give up everything in order to get to that position. I'm never going to be a vice president and all that. I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. So I've had to really reflect. And it wasn't some epiphany that got me there. It was sitting in the hospital at Seton with a hole in my neck with thyroid cancer that stopped me. Sometimes when you don't stop yourself, the universe will stop you for you. And as I sat there, I thought, nobody has walked into this hospital room and said, you cranked out 8 meetings. You brought in $310,000 in business by yourself and your business in 3 months. You did 22 keynotes this month. Not one person. Not one. And I know we say this all the time about what the priority should be, but common sense doesn't mean common practice. As leaders, we get sucked in the undertow of productivity, and we've decided how it has to look. And after I left that experience, I decided no more, not going to do it. And so I had to do a complete and total rebuild. I had to do a complete and total reimagining of my life. And when I came to the other side, don't get me wrong, I work very hard every day, but I had to get clear on boundaries. And now when people on my team don't respect the boundary, my language to them is, I care too much about our team and you to allow you to bust up or break or cross this boundary. It can wait until tomorrow. And when I started doing that, they pull up. When they realize we're going to get to the finish line and nobody's going to be in a sling and in urgent care and beat up, when we finally started doing that, they're like, oh, well, it was still hard. It still felt like we were pushing rope uphill, but we weren't bleeding and tired and exhausted, right? So tonight we've had a couple of, in one of my teams, we have several grants that were due. So we pulled together to do these grants. We have a 6-hour virtual online event tonight with 6 different DJs playing 1 hour. It's a logistical nightmare, right? It launches at 4. They're so tight, they didn't even need me to be on there. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go do this leadership thing. Great. So right before I signed on here, here's the message that went out. Put my board of directors on it. The title said closed. It said, dear board of directors, as you know, we've done the following this last couple of weeks. Effective when the sun comes up on Friday to Tuesday of next week, we will be closed. Unless it is on fire and burning down, please do not contact this team. Next line, dear team, I will ride with you any day, all day. You are the most talented team I have ever worked with. It is an honor to lead you. If you work tomorrow, you will be reprimanded. Be well, Pam. Done. We will not work again till Tuesday. Now, I will be working because I have other stuff to be doing, but they will not be working. You know what? When Tuesday comes at the staff meeting at 3:00 and I say to them, what is your threshold for change today?
Yeah.
They will be rested. They will be well fed. They will be hydrated. Some of them will have exfoliated and put some hair color. I don't know what they're going to do, but I will have better teammates and employees come Tuesday at 3:00.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to tell my kids I'm closed. Is that all right? Can I do that till Tuesday? I don't know.
I have a closed sign. Did you see my post? I have a closed sign on my office door in my house.
Is that what that was?
Yes, ma'am. They know.
I,
I'll be in there with some martinis and a book. I'll be back there reading Brene Brown with my feet up.
well, we were talking to our friend Vernon Brown, who is a happiness coach, and he's like, I want to know what, if you could do one thing that made you happy, what would you do? And he was like, oh, but it can't include anybody else. It can't include food, and it can't include spending. So, I mean, you've got your happy. You close yourself in there. You've got your Brene Brown. I'm with you. I get it. That's awesome.
I'm a book nerd. I read a lot, and so that's my happy place.
Yeah, you know that. Talk about your podcast and how we
Oh my gosh, that podcast is so fun. So I have a podcast. It's called Rooted. And it's an opportunity to think differently and deeply about questions and topics. And we've had a couple of great leaders on there so far. And then the pandemic hit and I halted it because it just did not feel, the subject matter that we prepared didn't feel right. So my dear business coach, because every leader has a coach, by the way, every leader, I have a therapist, a spiritual direction coach, and a business coach. And I'm a coach. Note to self, people. Every coach has a coach. Anyway, so my business coach was like, why are you not running the Rooted podcast? I'm like, it doesn't feel right. And she's like, well, why don't you go on as yourself? I'm like, I don't have anything to say. Like, I interview people. She's like, no, you have a lot to say. Run your own podcast. And I said, I don't even know what I would talk about. I said, I've been working on like these 5 questions during quarantine. Like I've been vibing on these 5 questions I ask myself every day in quarantine. She's like, that's the podcast. Record it. So this morning at 4:30, I got up and recorded it, but it's weird to be the, Rooted podcast featuring who? Me. Like uncomfortable.
Okay,
but
I agree
did.
with your coach because I can say right now, even in this wonderful time we've had together, I don't have enough Pam in my life.
Yeah.
And so I think that your podcast, absolutely, you should be pouring into that. If you are feeling that's something you're interested in, the world wants to hear more from you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
100%.
Oh, you're kind. You're kind. So I'm doing a couple of those pandemic times leadership focus for the next couple of months. And so, yeah, I'm doing that one. And then I'm doing one called, that I taped this morning called, You Repeat That for Which You Don't Repair.
That's good.
For leaders. So I did a couple. So yeah, I'm going to roll those out, but I did take a break because I'm like, who will I talk to? So even after years of working, right? When you are in an uncertain time, kind of to your point, Renee, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Doubt creeps in, fear creeps in, a crisis of confidence. And I'm also kind of sick of having the answers to everything. Like some days I'm just like, I don't have an answer today. I had to have a lot of answers yesterday. So today I don't want any answers.
I think my kids get that from me from time to time when I've had a long day with a lot of answers, needing to be, I like to talk about being focused on the output and the intake and the comparison between the two. And one of the things is right now is I'll say, check on your strong friends, because it's very likely your strong friends are doing a lot of intake, and that's okay. But then sometimes they need an output. Like you said, you have a myriad of coaches, and there's definitely times when my kids will come to me at the end of the day, on any day after a lot of decisions, and I'll say, I can't make another decision. And that seems weird to me. Why do you reach a point where you say, that's it, I'm done making decisions or giving directions?
Because that's brain overload. And in these times, leaders are using the left and the right brain. Seriously, more than ever before. You don't just get to rest in your dominant style. You are toggling like times 10. So that's why you're done, because it is more intense. I know we're at home, but it's more intense. And even if you were home before, you did not have all this stuff in orbit while you were at home. Like, I work from home some of the time. It doesn't sound and look like this.
Right.
So I think you know what, Renee, I think you saying to your kids, I have no more answers to give, is the kindest thing you can do. Because here is what I have noticed in my own house. I probably do more for my kids that they can do for themselves than I realize. If Preston Alexander Owens gets hungry enough, he is going to find a Nutri-Grain bar and wash it down with some Cheez-Its. And nobody is going to be harmed in the making of that snack, right? So I think clear is kind. Like, I would just be clear and say, can't do it. Last week, after having like 8 Zoom calls in a row, they didn't know what they were doing. They walked right in my office and they were like, what's for dinner? And I went, what did you say? What did you just say to me? Because right now I'm managing my clients through the crisis. So I'm doing crisis communication. I'm doing layoffs. I'm hiring people online. Like, it's crazy. They just want to know they're hungry. And I lost it on them. And so after that, I was like, my deepest apologies for my delivery, but not for my content. Delivery, content, I stand by it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about when we get to the 4, 5, and 6 evening hour, when people they've been going all day and their brains are tired. What are some solutions that we could create that we're working together to make this happen? Because I am not in a place right now to get up and be short order cook after I'm not when we're not in pandemic. So, and I have released the guilt. It's like tonight it's Chipotle. I am feeling really kind. So you can wash that down with a Tiff Street cookie, and that's it. Brush your teeth and go to bed. It's okay. Yeah. Totally comfortable in that space.
They actually probably love that too. They're like, "Oh, awesome!"
Yeah,
my kids would be like,
"Yeah, please." Elizabeth and I were on a panel. I was going to say yesterday, but it could have been 2 weeks ago. I don't know what day it is. Recently, we were on a panel with. It was all moms who were navigating their business and having kids at home now, right? And I think the panel's evolving into just parents, but the first one was moms. Well, it was really interesting about the real talk that was going on. And there was quite a bit of talk around what you just said, is stop putting the guilt into the equation, right? Stop feeling guilty that your kid had brownies for lunch on more than one occasion, because we use brownies as like science class and math class and language arts because they read a recipe. The last 2 days, we have had meetings from really 8 a.m. all the way through to 6 p.m. the whole day. So the last 2 days. But tomorrow I have a half day of meetings. And so I'm so glad you're making me feel better to know you're giving that permission, because the last 2 days I looked at the kids and I said, Self-sufficiency is going to be key today. Until this time, I'm just not available unless you have an immediate need, or of course, if anybody's hurt, I'm right here. I can hear them right now. Y'all can probably hear them right now. You guys are going to have to work it out, and we'll see each other at dinner.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Renee, for building solid, productive citizens. That's what that just did. See, we have to change our paradigm. We have to change our paradigm as moms. Like that right there, you can't buy that. They will pull that up later in life and be super efficient. So tomorrow when you have your half day, I double dog dare you to claim several of those hours for yourself in quiet respite or whatever it is you do that fills your own tank. Like I double dog dare you to do that.
But quite frankly, I think they're all going to be learning a whole lot more in this time when we all of us, right? Speaking of, there's a couple of mine, but all of us are going to learn so much more when we come out of this, looking back, going, oh, remember that. And I think our kids are going to learn how to be more responsible. And okay, and then there you go. Now the wheels are falling off of our wagon over here. But anyway, I think they're learning things in a different way that they're not going to necessarily learn in their schoolwork or their schoolroom. So, but I could talk to Pam all day long.
I know.
And
I know you have a million things going on, but oh gosh, it's such a blessing to have you here with us all day today, or for an hour today.
It's a great, y'all, and just remember, y'all are doing great. Like in the scheme of things, pull up.
Yeah.
Take the pressure valve off. You know, at a certain point for women, you don't have to wake up every day having to prove yourself. You are demonstrated and proven, period. As a matter of fact, stop doing that. It's messing it up for the rest of us. Like, I don't do that anymore. I'm like, hey, look, if you want to hire me, great. If you don't want to hire me, fine. I'm good.
Pam, you gave us a gift today. You and I have never met before. And when Elizabeth shared with me that she had, met you and that you were a friend of hers, she said, just wait, you'll see. And what a gift, really.
Oh.
I'm just so grateful for this time that we spent together. You got me in the heart today.
Well, good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. If there's ever anything else I can do, or you guys want to do another one, or I don't know, whatever, I'm open to what that could be. I'm open to the possibility of what that could be.
Well, and same here. If there's anything we can do for you, we're definitely going to make sure everybody knows about Rooted, right? I mean, how fun to get to hear you on your podcast, Edge of Your Seat Consulting. I know you work with corporations and building or companies, but there might be some out there that are really needing what you have to offer, because your leadership skills are amazing and spot on. So whatever we can do to build you up as well, we're here for it.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
Well,
Thank you so much.
I can't wait to see you and hug you and have lunch sometime one of these days.
So we'll have to be an extended lunch and bring Renee.
Ooh, come on in.
That's right. I know. I'm loving it. I have some ideas cooking up for when we can get together. I adored this time with you, Pam. Thank you.
Love it. Have a good evening.
Bye,
ladies.
Bye.